Yo, this your boy Miles Mercer, the king of the whole show, and you're watching Toilet Side Wrestling Talk. Tune in.
Hi, this is Brad from Pro Wrestling Junkies, and welcome to Toilet Side Wrestling Talk. My guest today hails from Brooklyn, New York, and started wrestling in 2013. He trained under Joel Maximo, who was one half of the tag team, the SAT. He's worked for Fighting Spirit Wrestling, Northeast Wrestling, New York Wrestling Connection, Dynasty Pro Wrestling, Evolve, Beyond. He also worked a NXT match against Jackson Riker. He's currently the FSW Heavyweight Champion since 2015, and we'll learn about that more. He's also, along the way, amongst other gold, held the Dynasty Heavyweight Championship and the FBW Heavyweight Championship. He's shared the ring with the likes of Talon, Logan Black, MJF, Orange Cassidy, Christopher Daniels, Darby Allin, A. Kingston, and I literally could go on. Just recently, he was ranked number 427 on PWI's annual Top 500 list. So please help me welcome someone who could probably crush these precious bones just by blinking his eyes, the Man of Steel, Mike Verna.
Brad,
Hello,
that
Mike.
was quite the introduction. I'm not sure if I ever had an introduction like that on a
Oh,
podcast.
I do my research. I have plenty of time on my hands.
I am not. So we all have for the last 7 months.
Seriously,
But
yeah.
I am not just telling you that. That was great. I appreciate you hitting all those things.
Oh, sure, of course. Okay, FSW Heavyweight Championship. How many times have you defended it in 5 years?
So, all right. So the FSW Heavyweight Championship, you hit it on the head when you said I was trained under Joel Maximo, one half of the SAT. Quick, I'll run through it quick because it could
Sure.
get long-winded.
Do whatever.
I started my training in 2011 with the NYWC, which is New York Wrestling Connection, under Alex Reynolds and Tony Nese. So those are my first two trainers.
Okay.
My finishing coach was Joel Maximo at the Ludus Wrestling Center in Brooklyn.
Okay.
During those years in 2013 when I debuted, he had a company at the time, Fighting Spirit Wrestling, FSW.
Okay.
I actually held that belt twice. First time I won it was in 2014. Second time was in 2015. Since then, although the SAT is actually in the middle of starting up their comeback campaign for 2021, Joel stepped away from wrestling for about 5-6 years to pursue entrepreneurship in his own companies, which he's actually made a successful living off of. Who would have thought you could leave wrestling and you could do something other than wrestle? So that's a good thing. So that's what Joel was doing at that particular time. So the company shut down. He stopped running it. So I've had the belt for the last 5 years, and I've defended it in the last 5 years 0 times.
Oh my God, that's crazy. So
But you know how they say in wrestling, never say never. So I can imagine Fighting Spirit Wrestling may return one day. You never know.
Well, then, you know what? If it doesn't, I'm declaring myself number one contender. Not that it affects anyone in the world. It's just me at night. I can close my eyes saying, I'm number one contender at FSW belt. So, like, over 2017, 18, 19, you worked like a crazy amount of matches. Were you wrestling every single weekend?
Yeah, and I was very fortunate for that. You know, ever since this pandemic kind of happened, wrestling itself, it was like an everyday thing that I didn't want to say I took for granted, but I took for a regular situation. You know, I was on the road every day, sometimes Thursday to Sunday, a show sprinkled in on a Wednesday. You know, it was a full-time job. You know, I thankfully was able to leave a regular job at GNC to wrestle full-time and make a living off of it. So that was awesome. So I was very happy with it. I was very lucky. And then when the pandemic hit back in March, I remember my last show was March 15th, and I didn't wrestle for 7 months. And it was such a weird, reality check where it's like, damn, you're used to literally being on the road so much, and now you're sitting home playing video games and eating
Yeah.
Cheetos.
Yeah, absolutely. That happened to me because the stay-at-home order hit. My kids then were home, doing homeschool, and now my wife leaves for work, and I'm home with the kids all day doing the homeschool. And there's not like a ton to do.
There's nothing, and then it's like you said, you're just so, like, as a professional wrestler, you're so used to that travel schedule, and it's almost like a weird wake-up call where it's like, all right, Thursday to Friday, I can make plans with friends. What? That was kind of the only cool thing out of all this, is that not only did my body fully rest, because the grind of that schedule really gets you. And I'm sure you've heard that before from a lot of people. That that the wear and tear, it catches up. So I really had, an unintentional 7-month vacation for my body to kind of recover and whatnot. And I was able to kind of escape the wrestling bubble, which is something that really exists, especially in the independent circuit, and enjoy a social life a little bit. I had a good summer, thankfully healthy under the circumstances and all that. But, I was able to kind of, get back to enjoying a social life, which is a nice, cool, refreshing glass of water. Let's put it that way.
So in those years where you're working crazy amounts, are you able to have a relationship like when you're working that much?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, I've been in a relationship with the same girl for about 8 years. So
oh wow.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. A lot of people don't know about my personal life.
Okay.
I definitely like. No. We can definitely talk about it, man. I promise you, Brad. We can definitely talk about it. But it is hard, the early stages of it for people that, may consider being professional wrestlers one day, or wrestlers now that like don't really know them. I kind of like this girl, but I don't know if I can really do it because, I got to be on the road. It's not easy. It really isn't. It's tough to balance, lovely emotional relationships as well as friendships with people, because you're really traveling, and it's amazing, not only from a relationship with my girlfriend, but also my relationship with my friends got a lot better during this situation, because I was kind of able to reconnect, because that life isn't easy. It isn't easy, and it's not all bad. You get to really travel the world. You get to see a lot of things. I did 2 tours in Italy. This year would have been my 3rd, but because of the situation, obviously not. And I was able to bring her with me, so she kind of got a vacation out of it, which is cool.
That's nice.
So there are ways to balance it. It's just a matter of how you balance it.
Have you, at any point in the relationship, did you ever hear, quote, "You're never home," ...
All the time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's still going on to this day, and she's gotten used to it at this point. So
okay.
My first show started getting booked again. She's like, "Oh man, I was just so used to you being around on. I might actually enjoy this break myself." I said, "Yes, you understand now."
Totally. So let's go back a little bit. When you were growing up, were you athletic?
Yes, I was a lifelong baseball player. That was always my thing. To give you a quick crash course on it, I actually chose professional wrestling over college baseball. I just felt that at 18 years old, getting out of high school, or 17, whatever it is, I was debating. I said, do I want to kind of commit to playing ball and kind of giving up my college? I don't want to say giving up my college years, because right now I'm a college baseball coach, so I would never want my guys to do this. But but I didn't want to necessarily invest my social life of my college life into kind of doing something that I really put 100% in during high school. And I didn't get no D1 offer or anything. I wasn't going to literally be a professional baseball player. I just was going to play college ball next level and see what happens from there. If I was a top prospect or a top scouted guy, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation today.
Well, look at Mike Piazza. He was almost not even drafted.
Player of all time.
Oh, okay.
I hear that all the time.
You never know.
Yeah, it's true. 62nd, what was he? 162nd draft?
Yeah, it's like a favor, I think.
Yeah, I'm in Lasorda. Yep. Mm-hmm. So I mean, yes, you never know.
Yeah.
But I got to that point, and I said, you know what, my baseball started to feel like a job, and wrestling became a passion again. When you're a kid, you love wrestling, and then you reach that stage where you're like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. People make fun of me. Now wrestling's cool, which is awesome. Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. But I reached that point. I remember it was after prom of my senior year, and things are getting wild, as you can imagine. I'll keep it like that,
Totally.
And for some reason, during a nice drunken tirade, me and my friends just started talking about wrestling and how great it was being a 90s guy, a 90s kid growing up in the Attitude Era with the Monday Night Wars and DX and NWO and Stone Cold Steve Austin in his prime. And I just started getting that itch, and I was like, damn, I want to do this. I want to be a wrestler. And, that was it. That was my choice. I said, let me decline college baseball and let me try doing this. And then I kind of started doing my research. I started going to the gym full time. Mm-hmm. I got a job as a high school baseball coach at my high school. So that was really my deal. Yeah, I kind of turned around and said, all right, this is it. This is a gift from heaven. Someone's telling me, go pursue this thing. Trust your gut, go pursue this thing. So that's where I am today. So to answer your question in short, well, that was long. I was always an athlete, thank God.
And how did this go over at home? Like saying, I'm not going to pursue, going on to college and play baseball. I want to do wrestling. And I thought about it when I was drunk, like last weekend, Were your parents okay with it?
No,
Okay.
no. And my grandparents were not at the time when they were alive. They were not okay with it.
I bet.
It was some, people look at pro wrestling and they know the risk behind it. Like it was never a thing of, oh, don't do that phony shit. It was never that. It was this can hurt you. You sure you wanted to give up all these possibilities, a real job, as they say? You're going to college to get a degree. You sure you want to give it all up for wrestling? Like, yeah, I did. And it took a little bit of time to really get them to soften up on it. And it's kind of cool now because I'll see sometimes my dad's like just sneakily watching Raw, SmackDown, or AEW. He sees a lot of the guys I've wrestled on the TV, and it's like, to me, that's my way of saying like, okay, he accepts what I do now. Like he really enjoys it. My mom still can't sit through a match, but she understands it too.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna ask. Is she like just like nervous that you're gonna get hurt and she can't sit there and watch you get like slammed or
She cringes at everything. She sees a headline the opening seconds, and all of a sudden she's turning her head. So she's one of those Italian moms.
Okay, so I want to become a wrestler. How did you find your first trainer?
So the great story about that, it was about 2011. So once I decided not to play in 2010, I took a year to start building my body because one advice I always gave to every single up and coming guy is I said, make sure you're mentally and physically prepared to get into the business. Mentally, from a standpoint, you got to realize there's going to be a lot you're sacrificing. Social life, relationships, just like we were talking about, a lot of real jobs, potential opportunities outside the ring that you're going to give away. That's one thing. Second thing is make sure that you're physically able to endure this lifestyle. I'm not saying that you have to be this jacked up behemoth, like super athlete. You just need to be physically prepared to give your body a beating that is not normal. What we do is not. So I did that for a year, and then this is when just Zack Ryder's internet show was popular as hell. So he trained at NYWC, and he was from Long Island, as everyone knows, and I'm from Brooklyn, so I'm about an hour away, give or take. And I started seeing these vignettes that he was putting on his YouTube channel. And one of the reoccurring characters that were on these vignettes was a guy by the name of Big O. Big O was one of his buddies. This was a big jack guy that would always kind of have cameos in these little vignettes. And I went to Raw at Nassau Coliseum that same summer. And I saw Big O. I met Big O in the hallways, and we took a picture together and we started talking. And he said, yeah, I'm training to do this too. I'm going to try to seize the opportunity with Zach's YouTube show. So I started training at NYWC, and I said, where's that? And then he gave me the information of the school. And then that Tuesday I signed up. So that was kind of like another little like, wow, this is all pointing in the right direction, because back in 2011, I don't want to sound like it was a caveman era, but things weren't as accessible as they are today. Twitter was just popular. Even Google, from a Google standpoint, like especially pro wrestling schools. I remember as a kid, I might have started. Now people are starting to train at 15 years old. That could have been me. It might have never been a thing if I knew this was possible. You know? So that was like my way, my sign. Someone was basically saying, hey, this exists. This is a real opportunity you can do. You can go out there and you could be a pro wrestler. So that was something I jumped on right away. I said, let me give it a shot. And I remember meeting Tony Nese. He was in the office. The office was cold. The whole warehouse was cold. Office was just so unorganized. And he's like, sure you want to do this, man? I was like, yep. He's like, all right, welcome to class. And then that began my journey. The unfortunate thing, how I ended up connecting with, well, good thing, but also unfortunate at the time, how I started getting connected with Joel Maximo was about 9 months to a year into my training, I got offered a really good job at GNC. I was with them for about 8 years, even into my career. It balanced it somehow. 18 at the time, so I was really young, and I was offered a really good job as a manager. And Deer Park, from where I'm at, is about, like I said, an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours in traffic. And they used to train on Tuesday nights, so you could imagine New York City traffic on a Tuesday.
Oh my God,
brutal. So I was offered, I wasn't able to balance the two of them, so I actually had to step away from training. And it was one of the hardest decisions I made, because I said, wow, there goes my, I gave away baseball for this, and now I have to stop it because I'm making good money as an 18-year-old. So
it's hard for an 18-year-old to make that decision.
Oh, you don't know. And especially at that age and making some good money, you're like, oh, maybe this is my sign if I'm going by all the systems of the world.
Yeah.
But then I went to Money in the Bank, maybe 2012. I think I was out of the business for about a year. I stopped training.
Okay.
And I saw The Shield versus the Usos, and the electricity in the ring, the excitement of that match made me say, all right, it's time to go back. This is what I need.
Wow.
I keep using the reoccurring theme of signs, but getting signs thrown at me like, let's do this. What are you doing? You know, I have this tattoo on my arm called "The saddest thing in life is wasted talent." I don't know if you can see it like that.
No, it looks good.
Yeah, thank you. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And I felt like someone was saying, like, don't give up on this. Don't give up on this. You know, do this. It will open doors. So right then and there, I called back NYWC and I said, look, how can we make this work? I can't quit my job because I got to pay you for tuition. So I can't quit my job. How can we make this work? At that time, open schedule. So I went to my gym and I'm working out, and my girlfriend who worked at the gym at that time said, hey, do you know there's this guy in here called Talent and he's a wrestler? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, he's a wrestler. He was the trainer. He was one of the trainers at the gym. And I said, damn, like, let him know. One day, and she's like, you know, my boyfriend is a wrestler and he's looking to kind of get back into it. And Talent responded, he's not like me. He's not that mat stuff, that mat wrestling's really good, but it's not the wrestling I do. And she turned around, no, it's the wrestling you do. And right oh, wow, okay. So he actually hooked me up with Joel shortly after, and it was it's the reason why I'm right now where I am today, thank God.
Oh my God. So from when you met Joel to your first match, how much time is that in between?
Beautiful thing about NYWC is they gave me the foundation. Alex Reynolds and Tony Nese, when it comes to basic training, when it comes to training in general, they gave me every single pillar of a house to make sure that I can go get trained by someone like the SAT, who are just, they're innovative, they're crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if I didn't have those, I would have had a whole nother year of training. But because I had all those fundamentals pounded into me, I got in there. He saw I can bump. He saw I could chain wrestle. He saw I could move. He saw I could do some spots. And then he said, okay, now it's time to get crazy. Joel trained me from August, and my first match was October. So,
oh, wow.
So he crash course trained me for about 2 months straight. I had my debut match October 13, 2013, a couple of days ago. I celebrated year 7 as an active wrestler, which was cool.
Congratulations. That is amazing.
It really, time flies by because I just, like I said, everything I feel like happens for a reason. And I was paired up with the right people at the right time. And the career is it's going good. You know, it's opened being a professional wrestler has opened so many doors for me in entertainment that I would be an actor. I don't think I would have done commercials or movies if I was not a wrestler. I really mean that.
That's amazing. I love hearing stories about how it's like changed people's life outside of the ring, you know, for the better. Especially when you hear all these crazy, you know, the dark side of the ring stuff. Like, it's nice hearing like these good stories. So did he tell you you're ready for your first match, or do you say, hey, I think I'm ready for my first match?
A little bit of both, because you know, a good trainer can definitely tell when one of their students are prepared enough to get in the ring and really have a match. Because I remember now, like, I can put together a match with my eyes closed now, but back then I didn't understand how it worked. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard. I remember in NYWC when I first started, it was hard for me then. Like, I remember we were doing drills, and I for some reason I couldn't piece together the idea of getting beat up and not coming right back up. Because if I was in a real fight, if you're going to knock me down, I'm right back up. And it was just so hard to grasp that flow, that dance of pro wrestling. And Joel was able to see, like, you got it. Just be confident, you know? And he was teaching me things that I didn't think I would ever be able to do, you know, high spots off the top rope, hurricane ranas, and I was just picking it up. And once you get that confidence boost of stuff that you didn't think you can do, and all of a sudden you're doing it, then you turn around and say, okay, maybe I am ready. So I'll let you in behind the curtain. The first match I ever had was choreographed from start to finish.
Oh, really?
Macho Man Steamboat style, literally choreographed from start to finish. And that helped me. But I realized as time went on, it wasn't going to be like that. You know, you have to learn. But, you know, being in shape, being able to you know, successfully execute moves and spots in the match itself. And mind you, I cringed when I watched my first match because it's brutal. But I was able to get it done. You
wrestled a professional wrestling match.
There you go. You know, I was able to get it done. So I think it was a little bit of both of us. If it wasn't him saying, you're ready, I don't know if I would have been able to say I'm ready, because, you know, to this day, I know I could put a match together very easily now, but to this day, you're always learning in wrestling. You know, I think Ric Flair said, the day you stop learning is the day you hang up your boots, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. So are you always like thinking about adding new like moves to your like arsenal, or you're thinking about other stuff at this point and then occasionally you'll bring something up?
You know, it's weird. Like, wrestling, when it occupies you as much as it did before pandemic, you kind of lose. I don't want to say you lose the creativity, because you always have to be creative. You always have to be innovative and coming up with new things to keep yourself fresh. But I always remember, when you're younger in your career, you're always like, I want to do this, I want to do that. The more advanced you get in your career, you lose the idea of creativity, and you do more creativity with moves, and you become more creative in the ring with your matches and your storytelling. And again, I don't want to get too off topic, but I feel like storytelling is always going to be something in this era of wrestling that is missing to an extent. You know, it's not necessarily gone, but it is something that's missing from back in the day, and the stuff that really made me a fan. So I'm one of those wrestlers that really, you know, I can do high spots, I can do lucha, I can fly, I can beat you up, I can do power stuff. I want you to be invested in me. You know, which helped me in my career over the last 7 years is I was able to be a babyface that people actually liked.
It didn't turn on.
I think that's super hard in wrestling these days, for you to be a babyface that is actually liked.
Oh, for sure, and for that long of a time period.
Yeah,
you know, if that was WWE, you would have turned so many times, you know, in that period.
And not only that, but if I had the same character that I have on the Indies and WWE, I would get the John Cena treatment, the Roman Reigns treatment, where it's like, we want you to be this guy, we want you to be Superman, but they don't want to see that. You know? So I really pride myself on being, that's to me is one of my biggest career accomplishments, is being able to, you know, stay as a successful babyface and really, you know, have the fans engaged, involved, invested, really like you. And that's what it comes down to. A lot of my storytelling is based on reality. You know, I want you to believe in what I am, believe in my character, believe on what I'm trying to show you. And if you want to cheer for me, that's that I did my job right, you know?
Yeah, totally. So, like, what about cutting promos? Like, when do you start thinking about that during your training? Like, or is that part of the training?
It's definitely part of the training, and I suggest, like, for any up and coming wrestlers, when they go to a school that will teach them the fundamentals of wrestling, being part of a promo class in that school is essential. You need to learn how to basically learn the gift of gab quick. If you don't have that natural charisma or that natural vernacular, and you're able to talk a certain way, you know, it's hard, because a lot of people, you know, they can do 1,000,001 things in the ring, but they can't have that personality on camera. And that's something that you need to be taught. And it's funny, because as I transitioned into acting as well, because I was an athlete, like I told you, I never thought acting or theater would ever be anything I'm into. I would never have done it. And being a professional wrestler is a source of theater. You know, one of my acting coaches, Chaz Palminteri, he said to me, one of the purest forms of theater is professional wrestling. And when I heard that, I was like, you're absolutely right. Like, one of the purest forms of theater left is professional wrestling. It's a live show that is unlike anything else. So to me, you know, when I got into acting, it's because of my promo ability and my promo like skills and all that it became relatively easy. And acting's not easy, but you know, it helps. It helped me. Being a pro wrestler helped with that. So I mean, when it comes to promos, now that I'm more comfortable as an actor, where I can kind of know how to be a character or do certain things. I like to ad-lib my promos. I don't like to really think so much about scripting them, because I think that's the biggest problem with wrestling, is scripted promos. So I never want to turn around and say, okay, I'm wrestling this guy for this show next month. They want me to cut a promo. I'm not going to go on my phone and write like a minute-long monologue. I'd rather say, what are the points? Put the camera on, and I'm going to try to channel that improvisation and really like try to do it from the heart at that particular time.
So like early on, did you have to spend like a lot of time in like front of your mirror? You know, like early on.
A lot of my early career was right where I am right now. In my car, radio off, cutting a promo to myself. A lot of people say do it in a mirror, but as good as that is, it's a great method. I just feel like if you're driving, and I forget who told me this, but it was someone at NYWC. They said, when you're driving, every time you get to a stoplight, that is your cue to, if it's a 30-second stoplight or a minute stoplight, you get to the stoplight, it's red, start cutting your promo. Once it turns green, you got to be done.
Oh, what a great idea.
It was cool. It really, really helped a lot. So I would be driving and I'd say, okay, I time the first light. I say, okay, this avenue, it's about 30-second light. You get there, you approach the next light, you got 30 seconds. Not thinking of anything. Once you get there, start cutting your promo. Try to get it before the light turns green. And I thought that was
awesome.
Such a cool little thing that really helped with that. So I did a lot of my promo talk in the car. That was always my thing. I don't want to sound like egotistical on this, but I never practiced promo so much because I was able to kind of get it quick.
Quick. It's like once you get it, it's, you know, you don't lose that.
The hardest thing about promos, I would say, is having the ability to find yourself when you're cutting a promo. I think that's a big problem a lot of wrestlers have these days. Is it's not like wrestlers are cutting like, let me tell you something, brother. Those days are over. You know, unless your character calls for it. Like Warhorse, for example, has made a tremendous living, a tremendous character by adapting that as his style, which works for him. But someone like me, it's not going to work for me. So I have to be able to look myself in the mirror or the car window for that matter and say, what would Mike Verna, how would he cut the promo? What would it be his thing, you know? So I think that's a big thing, is that people, you know, need to believe in themselves when they're cutting their promo in order for it to get over the way it needs to get over.
It sounds like confident and...
For sure.
All right. I am going to let you go shortly, very shortly, but I'm going to ask you 5 random yes or no questions. Be a little odd, maybe not. And if you don't want to say anything beyond yes or no, that's fine. Most people don't.
Let's do it. This has been fun so far, Brad.
All right, good. For $22,000 a year, would you let me flip through the pages of AARP magazine and find someone random for you to marry? So figure they're like 75. You don't have to invest a terrible amount of time.
I'm gonna give you a hard no for $22,000 a year.
Okay. Have you ever
do that with Maxim though, and we'll talk.
Totally. Have you ever threatened harm on someone's pet?
Oh. I want to say no, but I have to say yes.
Yeah, I think I did once. Have you ever been on a train when it's hit someone?
Oh. In my dreams.
Okay. Oh, good. All right. Would you ever raise? Do you have children?
No. Okay. I have a nephew, a 1-year-old nephew.
Okay. If you do have children one day, would you ever raise him or her in a religion different than yours?
No, but I would be okay with it if they decided they needed to do it.
Yes, because there's this Catholic school by where I lived, and it was really good. And I'm not Catholic, I'm Jewish. But I said to my wife, like, what if we just raise them Catholic and then go to this great school? All right. I don't believe this is medically possible, but have you ever even thought about or dreamed about taking the Man of Steel a step further and having the surgery that Wolverine had in X-Men on his skeleton, the adamantium?
Here's the closest I'm going to get to it. I'm actually adding my final tattoo to my arm, and I am putting the M on it. So that's the closest I'll get to it.
Okay, awesome.
So we're getting there. The question wasn't so random as you thought.
Oh, nice. Finally. Mike, thank you so much for coming on. This was great, and I really am grateful that you gave me this time. Of course, I would love to have you on again because there's a ton more we can talk about.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I would love to be back on again.
Awesome.
I had a blast talking with you, Brad.
All right, good. So did I. Mike, take care and be safe and tend to your girlfriend when necessary, you know, like the little tweaks here and there so you can get out. And I'll talk to you soon.
You too, Brad. You're the man, bro.
Take care. You too.